H-index is a term which usually researchers come across. It is a metric which is used to measure the impact and productivity of a researcher. A scientist or a scholar's H-index, we can say, is an important measure of their scientific impact, and generally it is used to compare their research productivity and citation impact among their peers. The higher the H-index, the more is the impact, and we can say that the scholar or the scientist is more productive. This H-index, it was developed in 2005 by physicist George Hersh, and hence it is called as H-index. Generally we write as small h in quotes. It is calculated by looking at the number of citations that a publication has received, and a score is assigned to it based on the number of citations it has. Now, exactly how do we calculate H-index? It is calculated by counting the number of papers published by a researcher and by taking into account the number of citations each paper has received. For example, if a researcher has H-index 5, it means that 5 of his or her publication has been cited at least 5 times. Now, generally this H-index can be calculated manually, but there are agencies like Scopus and Web of Science which calculate the H-index. Now, what's the difference between Scopus H-index and Web of Science H-index? Scopus H-index, it is based on the number of citations of a researcher's publications, while the Web of Science H-index, it is calculated by a little more complex algorithm which also takes into account the impact of each publication. The Scopus H-index is widely used, and it is more open to calculation by non-specialists, whereas WOS, that is Web of Science H-index, it is considered to be more reliable and more accurate in evaluating a researcher's impact. So in general, what is H-index? It is a metric to measure the impact and productivity of a researcher, and it is calculated by taking into account the number of citations a publication has received. If a researcher has H-index 2, it means 2 of his publications have been cited at least 2 times.